So now let's look at the brain and what happens when we're engaging in short-term or working memory. Here we see that the prefrontal cortex focuses attention on a sensory stimuli and will hold the information long enough for us to solve the problem at hand. Then it will transfer the information to the hippocampus for memory consolidation. We also know that the encoding stage of memory is consolidated through rehearsal and repetition. So if we repeatedly fire the neural impulses that are necessary to convert a short-term memory to a long-term memory, this will occur in the hippocampus. Now, the main reason Henry Molaison, or HM, could no longer form long-term memories is because a large part of his hippocampus was removed. But as I said, we know that the hippocampus isn't the only thing that's important for working memory. We also need our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for our ability to maintain attention and focus. So when you're reading, having a conversation, or looking at a map and trying to figure out directions, it's our prefrontal cortex that allows us to keep this information available. Do you remember earlier in the lesson when we discussed the visuospatial sketchpad and phonological loop? Well, we see that in each of these areas is where brain activity occurs during each of these processes. So we know that auditory input is processed and rehearsed in the phonological loop from the prefrontal cortex to the language comprehension center, which is located to the back and left part of the parietal lobes. We call this language comprehension center the Wernicke's region, after the person who discovered it. You may remember this when we talked about it in Lesson 3. As for visual information, in the visuospatial sketchpad, it goes from the prefrontal cortex to the temporal lobes for spatial information, and then to the occipital lobe for visual information. Now we know that our explicit memory storage are stored in the respective cortex and the area that it was originally processed. Now other types of memories, such as implicit memories, are stored in structures of the subcortex, specifically the striatum, amygdala, and cerebellum.